And so all you had to do was I rewrite the problem like this, right? And I want to know when x equals 2. And so I know that's going to be my x coordinate. So it will look something like that. Then I'm just plugging 2 in, which I saw most of you were able to do. And I'm just solving for y. How do you get y by itself? What is 2 times 2? 4. So you get 4 plus 4y equals 8. Then what do? Yes, subtract this constant 4 to the other side. I couldn't add it because it wouldn't get rid of it. You end up getting positive 4y equals 4. Then what do? Good. You end up getting y equals 1. And so my point where it crosses when x is 2, my y is 1. Who got that? Give me a thumbs up. How can I check my work? Plug it in, right? So I could take my original equation and I could plug in my x and y, and it should equal 8. So my x was 2 and my y was 1. What is 2 times 2? 4, and then 4 times 1 is 4. What's 4 plus 4? Is that what it should equal? Cool. So I know I did it correct. So this is an introduction to what we're doing today. Today we're doing substitution. So we're solving system of equations through substitution. You might have remembered that. But basically, substitute means taking the place of, right? So if I had a substitute come in for me, that means they're taking my place. What if Damon had a substitute in his football game? What would happen? No. What would that mean? If he was really tired, he needed a substitute. What does that mean? What does it mean?
It means somebody took his place.
Someone took his place, right? Could they put Miss K in for Damon's spot? Could I play for Damon?
Yep.
Probably not, right?
No.
I don't know how to play football. So I wouldn't be a good substitute. I'm not the same skill level as he is. So when you substitute, you get someone with the same skill level to substitute in. That's what we're doing for substitution. So we're going to learn 2 different things. So first get out these notes right here. They're that half sheet. And so you are going to be color coding. So pick a color for the first equation. Pick a color for the second equation. So the first problem, the first step is to solve one equation for one variable. Sometimes today you're going to have to move it around, but for this one we already see one of the 2 equations is solved for a variable. Which one is solved for the variable, the top or the bottom one? Looking at the 2 equations on there, which one is solved, like a variable is already solved by itself?
Pardon?
Well, the x is by itself, but it's touched that 2y. What letter? There's a letter where it says equals right after. This one. Do you see that? How it's isolated? It's already by itself. Sometimes you're going to have to move it around, which some of you guys started doing this morning. You are going to have to do stuff like that. So first I figure out, okay, which equation is by itself? This one right here. Then, since it says y equals 2x minus 1, they're the same, right? Like if Damon's y, we got to get someone who's the same skill level, right? We could substitute in for him. That's why we do, when one thing equals the other, we're substituting it in. So now we're not just substituting a letter or a number in, we're substituting an equation. So I'm going to write the first equation, down again. So I'm going to put x plus 2y equals 8. Now I'm going to use y as my purple because I can see, we have a substitute for y. Y is tired. He wants to get out. He's about to pass out in that game, right? Who's substituting in for y? What is it? 2x minus 1, right? The whole equation is substituting in. So now I'm going to rewrite my equation, but y's tired. He needs to get out of the game. I'm substituting him in for 2x minus 1 because they're equal to each other. I just finished the equation, equals 8. So all I did is instead of y, since it's already equal to 2x minus 1, I substituted them in. Then I'm just solving, just like you guys just did. So when I solve this, I bring 1x down. What's 2 times 2x? And then 2 times negative 1. Perfect. You're just solving like an equation. Then I'm going to draw my river. Can I combine like terms on this side?
Yes.
Which two?
1x.
Beautiful. 1x and 4x. What's 1 plus 4? Beautiful. Now we can see it looks like a two-step equation. How do I get the constant on the other side? What do I have to do? Add 2. And you end up getting 5x equals 10. What's the last thing we do? Divide by 5. We end up getting x equals 2. So sometimes it's going to look like an equation like that, sometimes it won't. So I know for my solution, my x is going to be 2. To find my y, you just plug it in. I would plug it in for the equation that's already solved for y, that one right there. So y equals 2x minus 1. What is your x coordinate? What did you find it was? 2, right? So instead of x, I'm substituting in 2 because I know it's equal to 2. Then what do you do? So you get at y equals 4 minus 1, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So my solution is 2 comma 3. So it's the same thing as if you were to put both of them in slope-intercept form and graph them. That's the point where they intersect. So it's just a different way of doing it because if you're not provided a graph, that's going to be really annoying to try to solve. Does this make sense what we did here? How could we check our work? Plug it in, right? And so I can take that point and in your calculators, plug it in. So I'm not saying you have to do it every time, but you plug in 2 for x and 3 for y. It has to work for both of them though. So it has to work for both or else it's not. If it only works for one, then it's not the solution. So that point needs to be in both of those. Does this make sense so far? Okay, we're going to do one more example that looks a little different, so turn that paper over. Turn that paper over, and you're going to write this one down. So now we have two equations that look like this. Y equals 4x minus 4. And y equals 6x minus 10. So turn your paper over, you're writing those two equations down. Now our first step is to find where a variable is solved by itself. See that both of them are solved by itself? They're both equal to the same thing. What are they both equal to? Y, right? And so if they're both equal to y, you could sit there and graph it, but you would have to make your own graph. That would kind of get messy. So all you have to do is make them equal to each other, because they're both equal to y, right? So if I chose this equation, instead of y, I'm going to plug in that equation. So basically, when they're both equal to y, you just make them equal to each other. Even when you're graphing, you don't really have to graph unless we're requiring you to. You can just take both the equations and make them equal to each other, if they're both equal to the same thing. Then we just draw a river and solve for x. So, who can give me, what would I do first? There's a million things you can choose. Kamar, go first.
Oh, you subtract 4x.
Sure, let's subtract 4x. And you would get negative 4 equals 2x minus 10. 10 to the other side. And you end up getting 6 equals 2x. Then what's the last thing you do? Divide by 2. You end up getting x equals 3. So I know my x coordinate is going to be 3. To solve for your y, you plug it into either equation. Doesn't matter which one. We can plug it into 4x minus 4. So y equals 4x minus 4. We know our x coordinate is what number? 3. Then we solve. What is 4 times 3? 12. Minus 4. You end up getting 8. So your answer is 3, 8. How could you check your work? Plug it into both equations, right? So if I plugged in 3 for x right here and 3 for x, they should give me the same answer. So let's try it. What's 4 times 3? What's 4 times 3? Minus 4. What's 12 minus 4? 8, right? Is that what I have for my y right here? Cool, let's try the other one. 6 times 3 minus 10. What's 6 times 3?
No.
Right. 18, right? Minus 10. 8. Is that what I have right here? Yep, so I know that's my solution. And so system of equations is one where it's a lot of like work, but that's why we spent so long on just regular equations. So it should be come pretty easy for you. So we are going to be practicing that skill. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to this packet right here. And we're just going to try a few. So I'm going to give you guys time to try 2. So the first one you're going to try is 1. The second one you're going to try is 5. So you're going to try 1 and 5. And I'm going to come around, stamp them, and we'll go over it. So you can see 1 is multiple choice. If you totally forget what to do, what could you do with your answer? Plug them in and figure out which one works. So we're going to try 1 and 5, and once you're done with that, you guys can just practice the skill. Next class, we are going to continue practicing this skill because it is really important. And we're going to do a little partner activity and give you time to complete the Delta math. Sound good? Cool. All right. So get started on those